All right, welcome back to TTM Trades. Today we're going to be talking about the overall market. The SPY finally breaking out like we talked about in the last video, and that trend is pretty strong. The SPY will be pushing back up to 235, and that'll be the line of resistance that it will test. And if we break through that 235, then we will see it continue back up to, not back up, but push up to around that 350 area. So let's just pull up the SPY real quick. With the SPY, we was talking about that 327 area as a line of resistance based on the weekly chart, as it was consolidating in this area right here from 322 down to 295, starting ever since back in June. We finally got the breakout now above that top one standard deviation Bollinger Band, sitting right at around 327, and there's really nothing above it besides that 335 price point, which was the last high before we had that sell-off back in late February. Now, just based on the volatility and the rate at which the price action has been moving, the bands have expanded to reflect based off the rate of speed the stock is moving. If it were to continue at that rate of speed, then that next line of resistance is sitting at 353, which is that top two standard deviation Bollinger Band, which is up here all the way in this area, which you could barely see. So that's what we want to continue to watch with the SPY. Now the SPY is still in a very strong setup as far as the daily goes. Here the RSI is still trending above its averages right here, the green line, which is the 75, and the yellow line, which is the 10 period simple moving averages, is holding strong above both its averages to show that that overall trend is still intact. As you can see here, back from 295 all the way up to 334. We're still holding strong, and the RSI is still holding above its short-term average. So it's still trending pretty strong. Nice buying volume behind it on a day-to-day basis. So I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Now we are in a consolidation period, even though the SPY has been moving in an upwards momentum. But as you can see here, we're starting to break out, breaking above that Bollinger Band with average down here below to show that the price action is probably about to start moving at a faster rate, which if we blow through that 335, then we're looking at that 350 area for the SPY to push up to next. And just looking intraday, the 2-hour chart is still holding strong above the zero line on the PMO. And we did just have a consolidation cycle intraday. If you look on the SPY, a consolidation cycle here, starting back the 25th of July, heading into it finally breaking out here in August. So if we slide this up, this entire cycle right here was a consolidation period for the SPY, where it held a majority of the time above that one standard and two standard deviation Bollinger Band, and then finally you get the breakout here, which you see now. The SPY is now breaking out and moving at a nice rate of speed as far as momentum to the upside, and the PMO is steadily holding strong above the zero line. The price action did cross downwards with the PMO trending down below both its averages as far as the green line and yellow line, and it continued to trend down. But again, as I tell everyone, as long as you're above that zero line on the PMO, that means one of two things: the price action is going to pull back and consolidate at a nice price where buyers are coming in at, as you can see here, was at that 295, 298 range, and then as it held above the zero line, it finally crossed back over to show that the buying pressure overtook the selling pressure, and you started that upwards trend back to the upside. So overall, the trend is still intact on an intraday basis and on a day-to-day basis on the SPY. So again, 335, next line of resistance, we're already sitting at 334. And if we break through that 335 on a strong volume, then we're looking at 350 next on the SPY. So looking at Netflix here on the weekly chart, it's been in this very strong uptrend. All right, I always say if the price action, one, it needs to be above its middle Bollinger Band, which is right here, that 30 period simple moving average. That is my short-term moving average that I look for the price action to cross over to show that some buying momentum is beginning to pick up. But again, if that price action is holding above that one standard deviation Bollinger Band and steady trending upwards, then we know that the stock is in a strong uptrend. So as you can see here, it's been holding above that one standard deviation Bollinger Band here, that green line, showing that the trend is intact and holding steady. and each time it pulls back to that one standard deviation Bollinger Band, it finds it as support, as you can see here, breaks back out, and now we're in that phase again of where it pulled back close to the one standard deviation Bollinger Band on the weekly chart, and it's currently uh, it dipped down to 467, and then some immediate buying started to come in following the next 2 weeks into this week. So if we zoom in on the 2 hour, not the 2 hour, excuse me, on the daily. Hold on, let's finish talking about the weekly. So just looking at the weekly again, remember I told you when that PMO is trending downwards like this, but it's still above its zero line. That's just showing that the price action is consolidating and not necessarily in a strong downtrend. So you see the PMO line cross below both its averages here, crossed above its averages here to reflect that we were in a strong uptrend starting back in late 2016 all the way up to mid 2018. Very strong uptrend, and then the price action began to pull back and consolidate right in this, if I can click this, right in this window here. Oh, we got a lot of stock charts. Started consolidating right in this window here from mid 2018 to late 2019 when it finally started to break out. So as the consolidation happened here, you can see that the PMO crossed back below its averages to show that the momentum to the upside had begun to slow down and the price action had to consolidate. So pretty much all of 2019, Netflix consolidated from 230 all the way up to about 370, holding in that particular price range. Now as we begin to get the breakout here, late 2019 coming into mid 2020 with Netflix, then you begin to see the PMO trend back upwards, and the trend is very strong as it begins to trend back to the upside. So just looking at the weekly is in a very strong uptrend, and Netflix trend will continue to the upside on a week-to-week basis. Now, since we know we're in a strong uptrend on a week-to-week basis, as far as Netflix goes, what we want to try to do is find a good positioning, a good area to position ourselves in on the daily chart. So again, we know every time the price action pulls back close to that one standard deviation Bollinger Band, as you can see here, and as it recently did here when it pulled back to 467, if we go to the daily chart, then you'll see that 467 pullback right here, and immediately as it pulled back, some buying pressure came back into play, holding it above its short-term moving average, which is the middle BB at 30 SMA, and now we're holding steady here. Now the price action is currently consolidating, and again I always say price moves in cycles. You have a consolidation period, as you can see here, where the Bollinger Bandwidth is below its average, showing that the price action is consolidating. If we move that up, then you can see the price action is consolidating in the bands. It's not in the downtrend and or uptrend, it's just consolidating in this general area. Now once you go from a consolidation cycle, you go to a breakout cycle. As you can see here, the Bollinger Bandwidth crossing back above its average, then that shows that the price action is beginning to break out, as you can see here on Netflix with the price action beginning to break outside the bands. So now that we had that breakout cycle, the price action has now pulled back, and it is consolidating within the bands to show that the buyers and the sellers are coming to some type of equilibrium, and now we're going back into a consolidation cycle. So this would be a good time to kind of position yourself in the Netflix, as it is creating higher lows each and every pullback. You know, you get the dramatic pullback back in March down to 290, then a pullback to 397, 412, 432, 467, which is our recent pullback, and each time we get a higher high with each pullback. So this is a good time to start positioning yourselves during this consolidation cycle on Netflix. And I would try to buy right where the middle Bollinger Band is sitting at, right around 493. And if you get lucky, try to buy back down into this 470 area where that bottom one standard deviation Bollinger Band is at. But anywhere from 470 to 493 is a good opportunity to position yourself during this consolidation cycle here on Netflix, to start preparing yourself for the breakout to the upside. Now the RSI did cross below both its short-term and long-term average as the price action began to pull back and consolidate. But as you can see here, the RSI did hold above 50, which is a very bullish sign, It started moving sideways and now starting to cross back above both its averages to show that some buying momentum is coming back in to play. All right, so Netflix is in a very strong uptrend. This is a good opportunity to position yourself again from that 47 to 493 window. If we look at the 2-hour chart, when we had that uptrend all in June, as you can see here, you had that consolidation cycle early June, June 8th. We move, let me try to move this up. So you had the consolidation here the first week of June going into June 8th. As you can see here, the price action was steady consolidating right in that area from 428 down to 404. As you started noticing the PMO begin to flatten out, it started to cross over to show that some momentum was beginning to pick up. As the momentum began to pick up, you start to see, you get a breakout cycle here, consolidation cycle with a breakout cycle, and the price action starts to move into a very strong uptrend. And this is intraday looking at the 2-hour chart. So the PMO is holding steady above its long-term average, that green line right here. And now it's crossed back through it again to show that the price action is consolidating intraday from that 467 window up to that 500 window. As you can see here, we're in that consolidation pattern again. But as you can see, the consolidation pattern is beginning to end, and we're starting to break out here on the Bollinger Band with the PMO flattening out and starting to cross back above its averages to show that some buying momentum is coming in to start Netflix on its next uptrend to the upside. So again, a good opportunity to start positioning yourselves and looking for positions on Netflix. So that's all I have. TTM Trades. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think is about to happen next, and also post a couple of stocks below that you would like for me to do some TA on. But till next time, TTM Trades. I'm out.